let's jump in. 10:08, let's do it on my time, probably 1:08 on East Coast time and everybody else in between. So I am going to share my screen. We'll do that. So you guys can see my screen okay?
Yep.
Excellent. Okay. So I was sitting here. We did this last week, and we kind of played with it a little bit this week to really decide, how relevant things are right now in the world and what's going on. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is because we do have a lot of you guys lived through that 2008, 2009 crash. And like I said before, I'm not akinning it to a 2008, 2009 crash because it has nothing to do with financial foundation, although it is affecting the financial markets. But I think what it is as a national crisis, we all kind of, back then, I think everybody kind of went, oh no, what am I going to do? I'm just going to stop doing everything. And so I think the fear of the unknown or uncertainty is out there. And I think that we as real estate agents really need to make sure that we're doubling down on our marketing. And some things that I think are really important that I saw back then that I didn't do, that I totally kicked myself in the tail for. And these are the 5 things that I think are super, super important for guys to be doing right now. And a lot of you guys are, which I think is amazing, but I think it's all, we got to pour more on it. And so I'd love your input on all this stuff. This is just my simple opinion. I'm not the smartest kid in school. I just know how to sit next to him because I can copy. But I do form opinions, and I am a little bit opinionated. So this I've seen work, and I think it's really important that we focus on some things that can really help us, not just now, not just with what's going on in the market today, but will exponentially grow your business because you're doing this now. And I think that's the key today is what should you be doing to get ready for the onslaught that will come? Because as you guys know, as this thing starts to curve and as we start to wane and we could get control of this thing, at least from what I'm seeing in Arizona, I'd love to hear you guys in New York, what's going on there. But there's so much pent up demand right now that one of my agents called me and she's like, I had 5 listings and I have multiple offers on all of them. She goes, people are hoarding houses like toilet paper. I'm like, yeah, probably because they think the rates are going to go up after this subsides, and it's probably true. I mean, I would guess, right, as the economy starts to get better again, rates start to go up. So. Okay, so let's jump into this. Let's go. I'm not going to push the play button because it'll kind of screw up my screen. So I'm just going to kind of go through these. First off, let me just do a quick introduction. So this is brought to you by my buddy Brett Sarin, who's also one of our awesome team leaders in Platinum Living Realty. So say hello to Brett. Brett, how long have you been in business? Yeah, tell us a little update about you.
Been in the business here in Arizona for 5 years, and so joined Platinum Living Realty in December or January, and so my team is the North Valley agents. We focus on the broader North Valley of, Phoenix, Scottsdale, everything from Cave Creek and Carefree all the way over to Surprise. So geographically, if it's north of our Beltway, then we're the folks specializing on that. So pleased to be here and helping everybody out.
Yep, for your input and thanks for your expertise on that. And so also John Bevilacqua up in Albany, New York, the center of all the stuff going on here. Holy cow.
Yeah, we are the focal point of the country right now.
So John owns a brokerage up in New York. It's called Property Shop. Tell us a little bit about your company and what you do, John.
We have a full service brokerage here up in Albany, New York. We're up to about 35 agents now, and you guys have done this webinar last week, and I caught it. You guys pulled me into it pretty heavily, which I thought was a compliment. But this webinar that we're about to go into right now really rang home to me, having gone through 2008 and being in a major market back then. I was working in New York City, and when all that happened, I would pass Lehman Brothers on my walk to work, and people were lined up with boxes in their hand like a bread line, and wow. It creates panic, it creates uncertainty. And having seen the webinar last week, I thought this was just something that everybody should see to go over the fundamentals of what you should be doing right now with everything that's going on. So I'm happy to be here and happy to have some of my folks in upstate New York to be on the call, and I'm hoping you guys chime in because we want input. We have a very different perspective right now than the rest of the country, so feel free to jump in, guys.
Yeah, if anybody's across the country, Midwest, I'd love to hear from you guys too, because I think it's really important to hear what's going on in your market and what's happening in your state. As we know, every state runs differently based on the state government, the associations, and things like that. So I'd love to hear from you guys as well. So
I actually have a couple of my coaching members that are up in Toronto that are on this too as well, so we can even get the Canadian perspective too, because Toronto's getting hit hard, just as hard as New York is.
Yeah,
Yep.
they are.
Some of the coaches here now too. Yep.
Okay, good. Well, let's jump into it. So, all right. So, what I decided was the top 5 marketing things and systems and things that we should double down on in today's market. So, this first slide I'm going to show you. I'm going to start from 5 and go to 1, just so we can keep the excitement up. This is something that I have been passionate about for years. I would say the last 6 months. You can ask my agents. I am on this like nobody's business, and I think this is not just because of what's going on today, but I think it's what's going on in the industry. And I think this is going to be extremely relevant for us to be able to stay in business. And I do feel that if this one thing is not done and is not done on a consistent basis, we will have a mass exodus of real estate agents in the real estate business because they just can't afford to stay in business. So let me go to the number 5. Number 5 is mastering the VIP loyalty agreement. And what I mean by that is not necessarily the buyer broker agreement, which if you guys are using the buyer broker agreement, I think that's amazing. Keep using it. We created what was called a VIP loyalty agreement, 1 page, front and back, however your state does it, it's up to you. But if you look at national and you look at localized commission percentages for buyer agency, now again, I'm going to preface, this is not about commission. I'm not talking about commission. We're not setting commission. There's no standard. I'm going to be legal and ethical here, but I do see that there is huge downward pressure on buyer agent commission. My coach affectionately calls it opposing counsel commission because that's kind of what it is, which is kind of funny. But looking at the numbers, and I'll show you some numbers, stats. These are strictly for Arizona, but there is severe downward pressure on buyer agent commission. And so I think it's extremely important as professionals. What other business do you know that people can jump in our car, use our services? You know, we schlep them around, show houses, write offers, and there's no agreement in place. And now some states regulate it. And if you guys do that, that's amazing. I wish they did that here, but and some brokerages do. I have not done that because at large, most brokerages don't do that. So most agents aren't used to that. So I'm gently introducing this to them. And I'm trying to make it super for them to be able to get this done. And I'll show you a copy of ours on what it looks like. And if you make sure that you guys can use it, but please do me a favor, make sure you check your local regulatory associations, your state laws. I don't know. This is perfectly fine for Arizona, but if you're in a different state, I don't want to tell you to use something that you can't use in your state. So, so what I did is I was curious last week, and I said, I'm going to pull up all of the now, as you guys know, in Arizona, most states, we're in an inventory crisis, right? We have literally, we have 5 million people in the Metro Phoenix area, and we have 12,000 listings. Like, that's a crisis. We normally have 35 to 40,000 active listings. And so it is extremely hard to find a listing. But anyway, what I did is I pulled all active listings. We have 3 other categories. We have what's called UCC, which is under contract accepting or contingent on a house selling, UCB, which is under contract accepting backup offers, and pending. So I pulled all 4 of those, and I'll share with this real quick with you guys. 1/3 of all the active UCC, UCB, and pendings are offering a co-broke commission of less than 3%. Now, I use that as a number. It's not the standard. It's not the norm. It's just, I'm using that number. Majority are between 2.25 and 2.5%. But I want to show you a quick little screen here. I'll slide this over so you guys can see this. I ran this number and I said, okay, number of listings that were less than a 1% co-broke, 49. Number of listings, and I'm sorry for the rudimentary handwriting on my iPad. I was just writing this down. Now, this was as of March 10th, so it's probably changed a little bit. Actually, these numbers have gone up. So number of listings between 1.1 and 1.9%, 29. Number of listings between 1.91 and 2.25, 589. Number of listings between 2.25 and 2.5, 5,840. And then 2.56 to 2.99 was 339. What my point there is that my point was simply that 1/3 of all the active and pendings are offering a less than 3% co-broke. So it used to be 1/4 of all listings. Now it's 1/3. So it will go to 1/2 and 3/4, and it will be predominantly what you're going to see in the marketplace. So at least in Arizona.
Hey, Jay.
Yes.
Quick question. Now,
Sure.
in our market down here in South Florida, we actually have 3 different type of agencies on how buyer's agent, transaction broker, or I guess dual agency, no agency, and of course no agency, where we actually end up, I see different in the different three. So is that just on average or completely just across the board, or one specific?
This is strictly Arizona. So if you're in a different market with different agency agreements or different ways to identify a agency, then yeah, this is just, but we only have buyer agent, listing agent, right? So that's all we have. We don't have transaction, that type of stuff. So yeah. Cool. All right, good. So anyway, so my point there is that it's going down. We need to make sure that as a buyer's agent, at least in my opinion, a buyer's agent shouldn't regulate or shouldn't be dictated what their income is based on the listing agent, right? So the listing agent goes in and they offer whatever they want to the co-broke agent. But as a buyer's agent, if I'm schlepping buyers to houses over and over again, making multiple offers on 10 houses and getting one offer accepted, and then all of a sudden I look down and I see a 1% commission or whatever that number is, I'm allowing the listing agent to dictate my income. I think the problem is that agents are afraid to present something to a buyer in the way of a buyer presentation or a buyer agreement, whether you call it a loyalty agreement, buyer broker, whatever your state calls, doesn't really matter. I just think that it's really important because I do believe, and I'm firmly a believer, that in the next 3 to 4 years, there will be no buyer agent commission. In my opinion, I think that's the way it's going to go. It's going to be like a lease. So our state, it's like $100, right? If you do a lease, or $300, whatever it is. My point there is that if you're predominantly a buyer's agent, it's going to be really difficult for you to be able to go and make any kind of living, allowing the listing agent to offer a very, very low buyer agent. So my opinion is, if I have a plumbing issue at my house and I call 3 plumbers, I guarantee those 3 plumbers, I have 3 different quotes. Might be the same, might be higher, might be close. But I mean, not the same, but they're all going to be different, right? Based on what they feel they bring to the table. And that's why I think it's really, really, really important as agents that we're out there dictating, collecting, and negotiating our commission, not allowing somebody else to do that. So that, I think today, in today's market going forward, this is close. I mean, this is the top 5, but I put it at 5 because some people do this automatically because of their brokerage, because of their state. But if you're not doing this right now, you guys need to look at, sorry, my dog's over here barking. He thinks somebody's pulling his leg off. You need to look at why, I mean, and that's the case, right? So you're going to be driving around looking at all these houses, and then, we've done that. We look down and guess what happens? We get so pissed at the listing agent because the listing agent doesn't want to offer what you want. Well, it's not their job to give you your fee. In fact, I had a text from one of my agents. I think they did a 6.5% listing. They offered 2.5 and kept the balance. They kept 4, I think, or whatever it was. And so everything was fine until the closing document came out of the HUD, whatever you call it now in your state. It's CD now, right? So they got the CD out, and the buyer's agent sent her kind of a scathing text and said, "I can't believe that you are getting this much and you're only offering this much. It's usually the other way around. I think this is bad business." And then my agent said, "Well, it's simply bad business if you don't dictate, collect, and negotiate your own commission. Like, it's not my job to give you what you want. How would I know what you want? Perfectly fine with what you saw on the MLS until you knew that I was getting more. Then you got upset." My point there is that don't think of it as a listing agent. If you're a listing agent, don't think of it as you're disadvantaging the buyer's agent. You just have to set your fee, and whatever that fee is, don't allow somebody else to set and negotiate your fee for you. I'm not trying to regulate commission. You don't, there's, like I said before, I'm trying to be very open here that it's not a standard. We're not colluding on anything, but you just have to decide what that fee is. Don't allow somebody else to regulate what you guys make. And that's my personal opinion. And I think that the VIP loyalty agreement, and I'll show you that in a second, is extremely a valuable thing to get. So one of the things that I didn't like about ours was there's a lot of legal language in it. There was some exculpatory language in it. It's a little scary. And so I thought, well, I got with as you guys know, I'm one of the coaches for Proctor. So is Brett, and so is John, of course, with Craig Proctor Coaching. So anyway, they came up with this, and I was looking at it going, this is brilliant. This is amazing. 1 page, front and back. And I sent it to my attorney, and I said, "Hey, can I use this? Is this something I can use as a buyer agreement?" And he's like, "Man, you can have it written on a napkin. Like, it's a written agreement." And so one of the things that I really appreciated was it was clean, it was simple, and we called it a loyalty agreement because that's really what I'm trying to do. I'm simply just trying to get somebody's loyalty. I'm not trying to take them to court. I mean, I could if I had to, but it's not the job. The job is, how do I get them to be loyal to me and show them that I'm a professional agent and that I have an agreement, and here are the terms of the agreement, right? So if anybody has one that you guys are using, I'd love to just put it in the chat. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say, because that's really important. But I'll show you what we use and what we kind of came up with.
Jay,
John.
while you're pulling that up, we haven't seen the compression of cooperating brokerages here in upstate New York, but the challenge for us is the value of our properties. I mean, we're still one of those places in the country where you can buy a house for 20, 30 grand, 70,000, 60,000, and you take a 2.5% co-broke on that, you're working for $800-900 a month. So,
right.
So the loyalty agreement not only works for downward pressure on commission, but it also helps an agent set and negotiate and collect a commission from a buyer that you're representing on a $35,000 sale. So
yeah, exactly right. My, as you guys know, I was selling at one point, and when I first started out, I was selling at a marketplace that I got caught. We all do that, right? We get caught in a marketplace that it's like, I don't want to sell houses in that area. It's just too low. And so I was telling my coach this one time, and he said, he goes, what's the problem? I'm like, well, it's an $80,000 house, and commission's really not that much, and I don't want to spend my time, and I don't want to get a foothold in that marketplace. It's just not where I want to go. And he said, well, why don't you just set your commission? What's your minimum commission? And I think, I don't know, it's like $5,000. And he goes, well, just tell them it's $5,000. That's your minimum commission. That's what you'll do it at. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Like, oh, that's a good idea. He goes, what's the worst case? They say no, and you don't have to sell the house. I'm like, yeah. He goes, well, okay, just set it.
Anyway,
and so anyway, it got me thinking about, I should be doing that anyway. I mean, every store,
right.
Every service, everybody out there sets their number, their profit margin, their fee, whatever it is. As real estate agents, we're hoping that because we're friends with the listing agent, that we're all working together in this community. Guys, that shouldn't. I'm not relying on that. And if you are, I think you're going to get yourself hurt in the next couple of years, because I think this is going to continue to drop. So anyway, let me quickly show you. There's 12 things that we do on here, right? We're going to assist you with securing financing, provide you regular updates, blah 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 blah. I'll do this, but it's all the things that we do for you. We even have like a buyback guarantee where if you're not happy within 12 months, we'll buy it back or sell it at no commission. I mean, there's a cool commission guarantees and things like that in there. So, and on the back, it's simply, hey, there's 4 things that we're going to ask of you, right? You're going to ask to obtain a pre-written pre-approval if you need it. If you're paying cash, we don't need it. You're going to allow us to represent you to see a home, new or resale. This means that you'll let us know when you're going to view the home. Obviously, if it's a new build in your communities or your states, however that works. In our states, we have to be present with that buyer first when they register. So that's how we get commission, and that's kind of what this talks about. To allow us to represent you whenever you see a new resale home, this means that you'll let us know when you're going to view any home, advise other agents, builders, and for sale by owners that we are your agent, and that if you make an offer, you'll do that through us. Those are the terms. I call this my backstage pass when I was selling it to my buyers. I would say, hey, this is your backstage pass. I know for a fact, if you and I start working together, you're still going to go on Zillow, you're still going to go on Realtor.com, you're still going to go on other people's websites, and you're going to look at stuff, and you may register, and you're going to go do open houses. Just let people know that you and I have a loyalty agreement together, and they legally can't pursue your business. They can't solicit your business based on having an agreement with an agent, right? So that's kind of your backstage pass. Number 4 is kind of cool. Number 4 is something that we came up with, or that one of the guys in Proctor came up with, which I thought was brilliant. As a buyer's agent, you guys have the same opportunity as a listing agent, at least in Arizona, to market the home sold. Like if I'm a buyer's agent and I sell my buyer home, I can send out a just sold postcard to the neighborhood saying, I just sold this home, because I represented the buyer, right? And I can do the same thing with a sign. So upon mutual agreement, buyer agrees to allow a sold sign to be erected in the front of the house up to a period of 2 weeks after close of escrow, right? So here's the previous agent's sign goes down, day it closes, my sign goes up with a sold rider. Jay brought the buyer, whatever you want to put on there. So you're marketing to the neighbors that you're the one who procured the buyer. And what do sellers want?
Buyers.
Yeah, buyers want houses. Sellers want buyers. So anyway,
brilliant. It's brilliant,
yeah.
Because you're leveraging the other agents' listings for more listings and opportunities.
Exactly right. That's the way I can leverage my buyers, is with the house that they bought. And so then we have in here the commission, and you guys can do whatever you want on here, but ours was 3.5%. But yeah, however you guys want to do it, it's up to you. This is just a very simple, clean, easy form to use. It's not scary. Most buyers and most people are really afraid, or are expecting something. They don't expect to work with you and not sign something. When we do our buyer presentation, one of the first things we go through on the slide is, so Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, do you know? And they go, not really. Like, how do I pay you? Like, that happens all the time. You'd be shocked. Still, people are not sure how commissions are dispersed or how people or agents are paid. And so I think that's a great first thing to start with. And then we also walk into agency, the difference between buyer agency, at least in Arizona, and seller agency. There's things that I can do for you that a seller agent cannot do based on dual representation or limited representation, if your state allows it. Okay, so anyway, that's kind of what we use. And I'm telling you right now, based on the numbers and based on what we're seeing, if you guys are not getting some sort of agreement that secures and identifies your commission, you're going to be in a world of hurt in the next 2 to 3 years, because I do believe that's going to go away. My coach said to me, he said, okay, so imagine you're going to the seller and this is what you say. Mr. Seller, this is our presentation and here's my commission. Great. Appreciate that, Jay. I'm going to hire you. Excellent. Okay, so Mr. Seller, the commission you're giving me, I'm now going to take half of that commission, and I'm going to offer it to an opposing counsel / buyer agent in the market. Their sole job is to do nothing but help their buyer negotiate against you. Like, their sole job is to represent their buyer to get the best deal from you. It's almost like you're paying somebody to sue you. Right? So if you had that conversation with the seller would say, you know what, that doesn't sound like a lot of fun. Why don't I just pay you commission and then let the buyer pay the agent commission? So I think that's what's going to happen. We're going to see that more and more. So anyway.
So Jake, a couple quick things on that. One, I noticed last night that even though the iBuyers have paused their acquisitions, obviously they still have houses that they need to sell. And I noticed and I didn't do a full review. So this may be case specific, or they may be testing in some situations, but I did notice on some of the iBuyers listings yesterday that they were at 2.25. You know, at the start of the year, they were by and large at 3, and then I saw them go down to 2.5, and now it looks like they're testing 2.25. So, you know, where the institutional money is at, they're definitely seeing what they can do and at what point it impacts, in their opinion, their ability to sell the house. So, you know, just keep that in mind, guys. As that happens, as builders do it as well, it's going to flow down through the other agents doing resale, and eventually listing agents will say, I don't know why I take this and make less than the buyer's agent in this particular case, why I give away more than what I take for myself. So we have to become very, very good. We become very good at working with our sellers on our fee, but we don't think it's important to do it for our buyers for whatever reason. So we have to utilize the same practice, the same skills to do that with our buyers and also with our sellers.
Yeah, I think probably because, you know, buyers have used other agents before and haven't done it. And so when they raise that, oh, wow, I've never had to do this. I bought several houses and I've never had to have this, you know, signed. There's an easy way to overcome that. You're like, yeah, I know, it's totally weird, right? I mean, what industry do you know that you can go use their services and not sign an agreement? And you just move on, like just move forward. Great. So, and like I said before, what I used to do is when I was doing the presentation, I would present the VIP loyalty agreement. And then if I could tell they're a little uneasy, I would say, tell you what, I can tell you're a little uneasy. Why don't we do this? Let's go look at some houses. Look, after the first day, if you and I are getting along, you really appreciate what I'm showing you, and you feel like I'm the best agent, then let's sign it and move forward. If not, then let's simply just part ways, no harm, no foul, and you and I can both go our separate ways. Like, I don't give them an option to use me without it. That was just the way it was. And at first, it was scary because I'm like, I need that buyer. Like, I mean, you know, I'm like, do I make do I change my, you know, my policy because I got to make a paycheck here? And so I realized, no, that was just the way I did it. And so it was, I didn't get a lot of investors to get it signed because they're just investors. But for the most part, I never really had any problem getting it signed. Most people were okay with it. They understand. Like, we, you know, we do the same thing. We look at your stuff when you guys go buy services or go buy something or sign up for like a software program. Do you sign something? Yes, you sign something. Is there a lock-in? Yeah, there's even a lock-in time frame. So it's not uncommon to have that. We just, I think as an industry, at least in Arizona, became really loose and most people just don't do it. And so I think that's the difference. But I think if you do a really good buyer presentation, it doesn't even have to be long. It's just, here are the things I'm going to provide you. Here's the expectations. Here's the situation. Here's the market. Here, providing communication and expectations to a buyer, I think is the most important part. So anyway, that's just my opinion. Do you guys, John, in New York, is that something you guys have to do? Is that an option?
Is it something that we have to do with the agreement, or?
No, do you have to have a buyer broker agreement? Is that part of is that a rule?
No, but there's somebody on this call that's near and dear to me, which is my father. John Sr. is excellent with getting buyer agreements. In fact, he's pretty standoffish to the point where it's like, if you're not going to sign this, then there's obviously no reason for us to move forward. So, but it's also his birthday today. I got to give him a shout out. It's his birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, John Sr.
Happy birthday.
But he's really good at it.
You know what's funny, and I think your dad's probably good about this, because here's the point, and this is what we're going to get into in the next 3 or 4 slides, is that when you guys have a steady flow of buyers and sellers that are sitting in front of you, theoretically on a daily basis that want to buy and sell real estate, you guys are good at closing deals. The problem is marketing consistently to get those buyers and sellers to raise their hand, convert to you, do a sales presentation, and then them agree to work with you. When you have a steady flow of those people and you have somebody who bucks the system, you're just like, okay, thank you very much, but we're just not going to work together, right? Next. And that's the problem. When we only have that one buyer or seller in our pipeline, and that's our only one that we have an opportunity to make to make ends meet, we attach on to them like crazy and we lose focus on our policies and what we should be doing. And I think that's the case. So really the rest of this webinar is going to be on the marketing systems and things that you guys should be doing to generate more of that business coming in steady, scalable, predictable, and we'll talk more about that. But yeah, and that's the point. You have to have that mindset. And so if you don't, then you will end up shorting yourself. Anyway. Good stuff. Okay, let's go to the next one. So any questions on that? Any chats? Do we have any chats in there, Brett, that we need to talk about? Anybody have any questions on that?
Hey, Jay.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Travis. So I have
Travis.
a question. So Jody and I, we did a presentation, buyer presentation a couple days ago. We went through the loyalty agreement. And what I found at the end is I did not do a very good job of explaining the commission thing. Like I explained everything else. So do you have any suggestions on like how to transition and how to make it clear to them? Like
After the buyer presentation, you mean?
Yeah, because we did the buyer presentation.
Mm-hmm.
I pulled out the VIP loyalty agreement. They signed it, but I feel like I wasn't like real clear. Like, okay, yeah, our fee is 3%, but I didn't do a very good job of like. Now, if the seller agent is not offering, 3%, then that's going to come from you. I mean, do you have any suggestions on how to? Are you saying maybe asking that question, do you know how we get paid? Is that kind of how you introduce that? Or?
Absolutely. It starts in 2 places. Number one, when you first meet that buyer, at least in my opinion, I was a huge open house guy. I loved open houses, but I did them for a means to an end because I spent 20 years in the car business, right? So when I worked every single Saturday and Sunday. So when I got in the car business, I'm like, or when I got in real estate, I'm like, I can have my weekends. And I'm like, oh, no, I guess you can't. Weekends. Okay, that's not going to happen. So I did open houses, but I did them for a means to an end, meaning I got people in my car until I didn't need to do it anymore because I do like watching college football on Saturdays. But my point is that when I was introducing myself to people and I would have conversations with them, at the point that I introduced myself, I would try to give people as much information information that they weren't getting otherwise. Off-market homes, coming soon properties, inside information on things that I could share legally. And then I would try to spark their interest. Like if they came up to the house and they came down and then said, we don't like this house, we're looking for a single level. I would say, there's a couple houses that I know that are coming to the market here soon. One's going to be listed about $450. The other one's at $525. It's over here in this neighborhood. I'm sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Prospect. Do you guys have an agent that you're working with? And they go, oh, yeah, I think, yeah, we do. We have somebody. Okay, no problem. Are you 100% committed to that agent? Well, what do you mean? Well, do you have a loyalty agreement signed? Honey, do we have a loyalty agreement signed? I don't think so. No, I don't think so. Great. Would you like me to send you some information, maybe based on some stuff that you're probably not getting, like foreclosures, builder closeouts, for sale by owners, and things like that? I can certainly send those over to you, on a weekly basis or daily basis, however, your choice. So my point there is that I'm setting the seed already the very minute I meet with them, right? So when I do the buyer presentation, it's going to be, do you know how we get paid? Let me show you how this works. Do you understand how agency works? And let me show you the difference in what we're going to talk about. Yes, it's got to be in the presentation, and you definitely have to let them know, because you don't want to surprise them by saying, well, you signed the agreement and you have to pay me the difference. And you're like, well, you didn't explain that to me. So you really got to be very open and upfront on that. In fact, Ariana did a really good job on hers, and she was over the top, explained everything line by line. And I think that's really important. They have to feel really comfortable going forward. Nobody likes surprises, guys. We got to be sure that we're letting people know. And all that does, that forces you to be really good in your presentation and really good in your value. So to answer your question, I would definitely let them know and definitely walk through that during the presentation.
So at what point do you put it in the presentation, though? Do you do it right at the very end when you're asking them to sign the loyalty agreement, or do you put it more towards the
I don't bring up the loyalty agreement till the end of the presentation. So the do you know how we get paid is a conversation that you could talk about. But then at the end of the presentation, we're like, good. Now I'm going to show you our VIP loyalty presentation that we talked about in the first part of the presentation, and I want to walk through this step by step with you. So I would let them know that it's coming in the beginning, and then show it to them at the end, and then make them feel really comfortable about signing it. And if they're not, then that was what I did. I said, look, questions on why this is something that you would not want to sign. Well, if I sign it with you, then Gary or Rick or Patrick are going to provide me more, listings that you're not going to send me. And that's part of the fear, right? If I lock myself in with one agent, then I'm not going to get all the listings that I think are out there. So I did that with all the other, here's how you guys saw that chart, right? Here's a typical agent, how we send listings, MLS, and then here's Platinum Living Realty agents, MLS, pre-foreclosures, coming soon, builder closeouts, blah, blah, blah. So having that in your presentation is really important, because that is a huge slide that you want to talk about. How do you access homes that other agents are accessing? Not that they don't have access to it, but they're just not doing, right? So that's something I think is really important.
Okay.
Yeah, and a lot of agents too, Jay. They forget the power that they actually have as a real estate agent. I mean, we're dialed into the real estate market, so it's like, the MLS is great, but we work in offices with other agents where things are happening way before things hit the market, and we have relationships with builders, we have relationships with other brokers in our marketplace where, we see stuff coming before it happens. And I think as realtors, we forget that and don't believe in the idea that we can get people access to stuff that the normal consumer doesn't necessarily have. And we get caught up in our realtor goggles, where we look at everything through realtor goggles versus how the front facing public sees us as a realtor. Yeah. So, that's really kind of where we have to remind ourselves that we are the advantage, because we have the inside secrets that the general public doesn't.
Yep.
Well, look, we're competing with, at least in Arizona, we're competing with 5,000 other real estate agents. You guys have to do a job of articulating that and answering that question. As you guys all know, I say, why would I use you to list your? I use you to buy my home versus all the others that I have options. Right? Yep. What's that option? What's the differentiator they provide? And if I have to ask me that question, it's too late. So I want to provide that up front. That's my way of doing it. It's up to you guys how you want to do it, but you still have to articulate a value. And it can't be, guys, it can't be communicate, it can't be I follow up really well, or I'm nice. Like, that's a line for being an agent. It's not anything uniquely different. And we're going to talk about this going forward. So we only have 20 minutes left or 20 minutes left. So let's jump pretty fast. Next one is number 4 is invest in Google pay-per-click. This is something that I find agents struggle with, because Google pay-per-click is the same as Zillow. Like, Zillow leads are, I want to go to this house, or Realtor.com, either one. I want to go see this house right now. There's no filtration, right? This house. Really good. There's some quality. I mean, some great quality of Zillow, at least in our market, or Realtor, wherever. You invest in Google pay-per-click, I get agents out there like, I got 50, all bad. I'm going to stop doing it. I'm like, you can't make a determination if they're good until you at least leads in your system. Because Google pay-per-click is a low threshold way of collecting buyer and prospects, right? You guys all know that, right? You go to Google, you type in the words, home for sale in Schenectady or homes for sale in Scottsdale. What pops up, right? First three are ads, bottom three are ads. You're going to capture people, but I've been doing this for 10 years on pay-per-click, and I live on Google pay-per-click. Still today, sell a lot of houses from Google pay-per-click. I will tell you, doing it, I sold 0 houses. That was not normal. It's usually the first 3 or 4 months you won't sell anything, and then 3 or 4 months you will. I was about ready to toss it. I'm like, I'm done with this. All of a sudden, the 6th month, I sold 1, and then the next month I sold 2, and then 2, and then 3, and then I'm like, oh, I finally get it. It's not a now business. It's a long-term pipeline builder that will feed you really, really well over the course of the next year to 10 years or whatever. How long are you guys going to do this? But now business, I call, and we do have Zillow here, right? Now Zillow in Scottsdale is under this program, right? There's only here and I think in somewhere in North Carolina, where we don't pay for Zillow, we now pay them referral fee, right? So a 35% where it's going, by the way. We'll no longer have to pay monthly for Zillow, but you will now have to pay a referral fee. So anyway, my point is that it's like crack for a lot of, because it's really quality stuff, right? You on it and they want to go see it. Next thing you know, you're making offers and you get accepted. Get it. It's hard not to do it. But the reason I think investing in Google Pay is because do feel that Zillow and Realtor is an application of your responsibility to market your own business and generate business. You're paying them to do. Not that I'm not paying a company to do my Google pay-per-click, but it's my investment I'm putting out there to get the leads coming in. I don't pay a referral. I simply get investment dollars to market my own. And I can change my ads. I can change whatever I want on my pages. I can do it all. Right? So if one of those companies, Zillow, Realtor.com, where you're getting leads from, flips, decides no longer have you in their system and you're relying on them, you're kind of out of business. And not to say that Google couldn't do the same thing, but it's just too big. It's just, it's less likely to happen, right? So I just think that doing pay-per-click is it's less competitive because agents dabble in it, but they don't stick to it. And you got to stick to it to at least you get 500 leads. Once you get 500 leads in your system, then you can go across and say, okay, what's the quality? What's my conversion? What are my dials? What are my voice-to-voice connection, appointment rates, all that stuff? And then you can tweak the ad variables. Then you can the way you respond to them. And when you look at Google pay-per-click, like I said, it's a low threshold acquisition system. The one thing they're looking for is houses. The one thing they're not looking for is realtors or real estate agents. So when you instantly inject yourself into that process, you basically repel them. So there's a strategic way to get them to continuously looking on your website, which is what you want, right? So I think that's the problem, is that most agents stop what works, or they just get scared, or they look at it and go, I'm putting good money after bad, or bad money after good, whatever that's, good money after bad. And then they just stop. But that's a long-term play. So anybody doing Google pay-per-click, I know, Brett, you've done it. John, you've been doing it for a long time, but am I wrong on that? I mean, it's a long-term play, right? It's not something you're going to get right away.
Well, about anything is going to be about consistency and the discipline of the behavior. Yep. What I do like about Google is that literally it is search. So your ad, people have to be looking for what you're offering in order to see your ad. So the level of intentionality is higher. And as you think about the sales cycle for somebody, from the moment they decide they need to make a change to the time that they actually do it, NAR tells us for buyers it's on average 18 months, and for sellers it can be 24 months. So they can be in their home for 2 years before they make that change, understanding that they need to make that change. So a long period of that is information gathering. Yep. And then solution seeking. So they're interested, they're in the market for all this period of time, but then once they decide to seek their solution out, that's when search comes into play. So you can have 6, 8, 12 months of the process cut out by the time they're coming to search. And so they're shorter, they're closer to being ready to go by that point in time. That's one of the reasons why I like search.
Great point. And I want to cover a couple things that you just talked about. Number one is I'm not a big fan of Facebook ads or leads because I think Facebook is a great supporting casserole. Not that you can't get leads and close them, but I think it's a great supporting casserole. It's an amazing branding system, but nobody goes to Facebook and types in 3-bedroom, 2-bath home in Albany. Right? Nobody does that. They go to Google and do that, right? So that's why I think it's a better acquisition system. But Facebook is a really good branding system to be able to brand them on why they should use you. I think let's get that straight. Number two is, like Brett said, these leads do become Zillow quality once they're at that point. And you really haven't done too much. The systems that are out there do all of the automatic texting and gentle emails. We try to stay away from too many emails, but and it gives you KPIs within there to identify who I should follow up with and who I shouldn't based on their behavior. So based on their activity, and they become Zillow quality. In fact, I can share my screen real quick and show you. I pulled up our lead system today.
And to talk about Brett's point, Jay, I always say pay-per-click leads or Facebook leads, they're kind of like collecting baseball cards, right? They open up a pack of baseball cards, some are worth 10 cents today, and then 6 months down the road the player has a good year and they're worth $100.
Yep.
So but if you don't start collecting them, you're not going to have anything at the end of the day. So it's just you got to keep opening packs and collecting them and eventually you're going to start converting and you're going to start getting business.
Yeah, these aren't 100% perfectly accurate because we use the CTE program a little different, but you get an idea. So last month we had 430 leads come in, and we had 330 this month so far. We're on the 27th, so we'll be a little bit behind the 8 ball given the certain situation that's going on. Now this is in a market that the cost per lead and the amount of people doing it is enormous. Like this is in Scottsdale, predominantly Phoenix and Scottsdale. Let's see, we had 148 in Scottsdale, 149 in Phoenix. So it is a very competitive market. So to generate those kind of leads in this marketplace is extremely expensive. So when I look at it and I'm paying an inside sales agent to do nothing but book appointments and to nurture and to scrub these leads, it's extremely expensive. But my point is that we actually closed 7 in the last 30 days. I don't know why this only shows 5, but every single month it's 5 to 8 every single month without fail. It will fail. It's almost like I'm getting consistent referrals every single month without even having, all I'm doing is simply just generating leads. Now what's interesting, the leads closing here do not come from here. These leads that I'm here come from 2 years ago, 6 months ago, right? Rarely do I ever get a lead that comes in that month that I get under contract that month, right? So it takes that time to nurture. So anyway.
The reason why we're including this now as something to do now is that there's more people than ever sitting at home doing searching. They're deciding if they're staying in their house that they need a different house. So they're beginning to search. They're doing it. And also many agents are sitting on the sidelines. And so their ability to get help is diminished. So that makes it good. And I'm finding not only for myself, but for my members and the other people that I'm talking to, that contact rates on lead callbacks are much, much higher than they typically are, again, because many people are at home or not otherwise doing things that would make it difficult to reach them. So acquire the leads, there's more people looking and less competition for them and more people answering the phone. So it's kind of a perfect storm for this type of business generator for you.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah,
Great.
but in addition to what's going on in the current moment, right? Everybody's kind of at home trying to figure out what's going on, but this is a great opportunity if you do have a big bucket of leads in your database to go through and recalibrate your database and really, figure out like who's hot, who's not. Can I throw this guy away? Should I continue to nurture him? And how do I re-stimulate these leads to see if you can flush out, a Zoom call meeting? Because we can't meet with people face to face, at least here in New York. But getting back into that database and just kind of stirring the pot, so to speak.
Yeah, well, that leads me to number 3. So past client referral marketing. I talk to a lot of agents, as you guys know, on a monthly basis, and I'm telling you, everybody I talk to, they say, I found that most agents lack 3 things, right? They lack systems, implementation, and marketing. And so most agents live and breathe on past client referral business. And so when I do my this versus that, I go, okay, what's your top sources of income or sources of business? Referral. Great. Repeat, past clients, and then maybe a dabbling of Zillow and a sign call, right? And then what do you spend money on? Zillow, all this other stuff. It's not congruent, right? So you're not spending money on something that generates you the most amount of business. It becomes less scalable and less predictable. So if I know that if I was sending a referral newsletter or a postcard to my clients or whatever every single month, I think it's important because in my mind, just because I sold them a house doesn't mean that they're legally tied to me after I sell them a house. They can go use any other agent out there, and unfortunately some of them have, because I was not awesome at that. By the way, when I first started in real estate, because I was an acquisition guy, right? I was car business. It was get them, sell them, let somebody else close them, move on, hunt, kill. And so what I realized is that there's a absolute gold mine in past clients. You just have to be really specific about what you're sending them. It doesn't have to be uniquely different though. People create these elaborate, past client postcards or newsletters and all these things. And God, for the love of God, don't send another email newsletter. Because it just gets deleted. Anyway, that's just my personal opinion. I personally think that if you're sending out marketing pieces right now to get acquisition, postcards, whatever else you're doing, why would you not send those to your past client referral base? Because I know me, if I get something from a car salesman that I sold me a car, and it shows that he's selling car. I mean, it's just top of mind awareness. I want my past clients to see how successful I am as well. So we'll talk about that in another couple slides. But my point is that newsletters are awesome if you can get an offer to them. So it's not just look at what we're doing and an update. Yes, it kind of is, but you still have to have offers to buy and sell. Those people at one point will want to buy and sell. And if you don't know when that is, they may not recognize, just because you're sending them stuff doesn't mean they're going to continue to use you. And that's what I found. I would send people stuff when I started realizing I should send them stuff, but then they still weren't using me. And I thought, well, maybe they didn't have a good experience. No, I didn't offer them anything. I didn't provide an offer. So one of the things we're going to really talk about in the next two slides is call to actions and unique selling propositions. And I think that's going to be a huge piece to your past client referral marketing. So if you're not giving them something, video email, if you're not sending them a voice broadcast, handwritten letters, these are amazing ways to stay in front of your clients today. Because video email costs you $0 other than to the platform that you're spending to use it. We use BombBomb, but newsletters do cost a little money, especially if you're going to print them. I'm not a big fan of email newsletters because everybody gets thousands of emails and they swipe right or left to delete it. I forget what it is. Anyway, my point there is that you still have to have something. I want something in their hand, right? So, or a video that they can watch. So I'm a big fan of video, and we're going to talk about that here pretty quick, but getting something, but make sure that there's an offer in front of them. You can do a quick little update story or do something that just introduces, hey guys, just follow up again. I want to give you a market update. And at the end could be, hey, by the way, if you're looking to buy and sell, this is an awesome market. And you could even do price range. Hey guys, if you're between this price and this price, hang tight for a couple months. The market's going to get better. But if you're in this price, now's the time to buy and sell. Or it can just be something as you guys know, I live and breathe on wonderful clients like yourself, buyers and sellers. So if you know of anybody who's looking to buy and sell, please refer them to my website, or please have them download this special report on how to navigate today's market, right? A call to action. Amazing. Like that simple thing can really elevate your past client referral marketing. So anybody else want to add anything to that? I'm not an awesome person at referral past client marketing, but I think that if you could, I'm really good at acquisition. So I treat them just the same as I do acquisition, meaning people who don't know me and don't understand who I am, and I'm going after them, trying to get their business. I'm going to treat them the same way with a little difference, but the content has to be, the offer content has to be the same.
Yeah, right now is a prime opportunity to be in touch with the people that you've worked with and worked for in the past, because again, they're panicking, or maybe at least mildly concerned, but they're sitting at home and they're looking to us for guidance and also support. So, reaching out, just checking in to see how things are going and talking to them, a 30-minute conversation could do more for your relationship as in a lifetime client, not even from a sales standpoint, but just, hey, we haven't talked. You've been on my mind in this crazy time. Is there anything that I can do for you? Is there anything that you need in the midst? And just that level of support will go a long way. And some of them may need to do something now, or they may know people who need to do something now, especially if they're going to sell to an iBuyer and they've now been stiffed, or their agent isn't working with them for whatever reason. And not to cannibalize things, but it's all about being present and being of support. This is a service business. This is a service industry. So call and find out how you can be of service.
Yep, I agree. Yep, I think that's excellent. All right, good. All right, we're coming up on the hour, so let's jump through a couple of them here real quick. So number 2 is video. As you guys know, I'm a huge video guy, and I know a lot of you guys are cringing right now because you don't like your face on video, you don't like how you sound. Trust me, guys, every time I would do a video, I would have somebody at least pipe in and say, do you know how many times you said, And I said, do you know how many knowing that it is that you counted how many times I said, Like, I mean, yes, I know how many times. I didn't do Toastmasters. I'm not a professional video guy. But I think what happens is people realize that it humanizes who you are, right? And I think it's really important that you just become natural. This is who I am. This is not a show. Like, you guys who know me, I'm not, this is, in person, what you see is what you get. On video, what you see is what you get. So I think it's really interesting on how many people are now going to get better at doing video because of all this stuff. And we're kind of having to force ourselves to do more video. But being that calming voice with your clients is really super important right now. And it is so easy to do a one-way video. Whether they read it or watch it, you can track that in certain systems, but just giving them an update, just giving them a market update. And when you're giving market updates, don't just spew numbers, give me advice. Like when people ask you, hey, how's the market? And you go, oh, it's a good market. No, hey, there's 12,200 homes in the
No, that's the money question.
Yeah, so really get into details. There's 12,200 homes in the market right now. The average list price ratio is roughly between that 97, 98% list price ratio. Actively buyers right now, there's more than sellers. So we're kind of give people advice. And then when you do that, you now become the expert in the marketplace. And so I guess this should be know your numbers as well. But using video is super important, whether it's Facebook Live, YouTube, which I will show you as well. And I keep saying video emails. Do a walkthrough, right? Market updates, just listed, just sold. So I'm going to dovetail something we've been testing, and as you guys in my company know, we've been working on this. And Haley, one of my agents, a listing because of this, but we use what we call a listing donation package, right? So we're really big in mail. We use direct mail, video, voice broadcast, and Facebook ads, and we compound that marketing to a local neighborhood, subdivision, wherever you're farming. And so what happens is they're now seeing multiple messages in multiple mediums about you. Now, some of those messages are the same, but now all of a sudden I get somebody's, then I see them on Facebook, and then all of a sudden I see a video, and then I get their voice broadcast. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, who is this Karen lady? I mean, she must be killing it because I see her everywhere. Yes, right. That's exactly what I want. I want that perception. I want people to know me and recognize me. When you guys get 450 emails a day, if you're one of 450, you're probably going to get missed, right? If you're 10 of 450, I'm probably going to get, you're going to get more recognition or notified. And that's the whole premise of what I'm trying to do. But anyway, so using video is an amazing place, and using Facebook Live, guys, is even better. As you guys know, Facebook builds that algorithm, right? They build that lookalike audience based on somebody who has watched, shared, liked, commented on your video. Facebook repurposes that video to a lookalike audience that you can build, and you can repurpose to it as well. But it opens up that video to people who actually look at that based on that algorithm. So that's why I do like Facebook Live. And I like Facebook Live because you mess up less. When you know that you can you hit the stop button because you messed up and you want to re-record it, you'll mess up more. When you're like, oh crap, this is live, I better be good. You're good. Like, it's on. Like internal pressure just kind of. And so anyway, my point there is that I'm sure you guys will comment on this, but just don't be afraid to use video, because it is an endearing, humanizing piece of technology that we can connect with people on better than we can with a simple email. Like, I always think when I'm writing an email, would this be better in video? Would this be better received? If I have to burn brain calories, you ever get a text message from somebody and it's like 5 paragraphs? You're like, oh, for the love of God, I just used my brain. Right? You're like, I'm not going to read that. That just takes too much brain calories. But if you watch a video, TikTok. Who watches TikTok, right? I mean, this is crazy. It's great. I mean, it's nuts. I just learned about that a couple weeks ago. Anyway, my point is that there's opportunities for us to do just listed, just sold, open houses, community updates, video emails to your past clients, friends, sphere, neighborhood, farm area. Don't pass up, double down today on video. Get yourself used to it. It's not.
Jay,
It's
just to add to that, let's not forget about the forum we're on right now. Like, think about from a creative standpoint, those of us in New York that can't have face-to-face or open houses right now, using Zoom as a forum to market something on Facebook. Say, hey, we're still doing, first-time buyer seminars via Zoom. You market and generate leads to get, you get 10, 15 buyers on a Zoom call, and you do a first-time buyer home seminar via Zoom. Maybe you pick up 3 or 4. You do the same thing, for home sellers. Like, think creatively outside of the box to utilize the technology to keep yourself in business.
I think I saw somebody had a happy hour on Zoom. I'm like,
yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm going to one tomorrow, actually.
Oh, really? Yeah. That's interesting. Nothing beats the real thing about, collaborating and high five, giving your friends hugs. But in today's market, I think it is a platform that I don't think a lot of agents want to use or like to use, because everybody says, oh, I don't like my face. I mean, I'm looking right now, and we have quite a few people on the Zoom meeting, and more than half of you guys don't have your cameras on. So that proves to me either you haven't washed your hair yet, or you just don't like the way you look on video. But my point is that once you're ready to do that, just do it. And once you do it, I always ask my agents, I know you're afraid to do this, make a video, only send it to me. Just send it to me. We'll critique it, and I won't hurt your feelings. And then I'll get you more excited about it. When you start getting people responding, going, oh my God, great video, awesome message. Exactly. It gets you excited. You want to do more. Yeah. So anyway, I can't talk about how much more important that is to do right now.
Yeah. And you mentioned you approach it from the standpoint of authenticity. And the flip side of that coin, Jay, is that what you see is what everybody else sees of you every single day. And they already know, like, love, trust, and respect that, right? And so they want to see more of that. So let me ask you a question, Jay. Do you want to have the same conversation 2,685 times?
Nope.
Or would you rather have the conversation once and have 2,685 people see it and know it, like it, and you be able to speak into them, give value to them, and help them where they're at right then and there?
Yeah, so this is a prime example, right? So when this is over, this is recording. When this is over, we're going to repurpose this, and we call it compound marketing. We're going to chunk it and compound it and resend it out to get more people to watch it. So they don't have to be live on here. But yes, I agree 100%. That's the message. And so as you guys have ever jumped on my website, my website is filled with me doing videos about certain sections of what we do at our brokerage. And so the goal is, A, I want to be able to articulate in a really easy, simple way for you to know what we do. B, I want you to know who my personality is. I want you to know who I am, and understand what you're going to get yourself into. Right? When I was working with a buyer, and I would send them back in the day when I was selling some video emails, and they would actually get them. I want them to see. I want them sticky with me. Right? I know I'm competing that buyer with 5 or 6 other agents. What can I do to get them sticky with me to where they use me versus somebody else? Mm-hmm. And if I can articulate a better value, or even a same value, but I can do it in a medium, then I probably have a higher chance of getting them to connect with me. So anyway, I can't tell how many agents I talk to that come into the brokerage, and they're like, I kind of feel like I know you after videos. I'm like, well, that's the whole goal. Working, anyway, but yes, I agree, Brett. You can't be disingenuous. You got to be completely fair and upfront, and you can't fake things. You got to be authentic. So. All right, so let's jump to number 1. We're coming up a little past the hour here. So number 1, plus we have a bonus slide I want to show you guys. Number 1, I kind of gave the goose away, right? So it's direct mail. Direct mail is amazing. Like right now, you cannot do better than direct mail. Where are people right now?
At home.
In their home.
That's it.
Right? They're in their home. They're getting their mail. They're excited. They're trying to pick out the shoes and the outfit they're going to walk to the mailbox to go outside. Right? I mean, they're so excited outside. It's like, it's mail time. But my point there is that it's not just now in today's market, it's the future. Direct mail does work. The problem is most agents will dabble in it and go, no, Jay, I tried it. It didn't work. It's not the direct mail. It was the unique selling proposition, and it was the call to action. If there is no call to action, if there's nothing on there that says, why would I use Katie versus all the other agents in the state of Arizona? then it's so what. And you know what? Saying I'm the #1 agent in, what county you guys in? Sucks. Is it New York? What's the county? You guys
Oh, I'm in well, I live in Albany County, but I'm in, yeah.
All right, I'm the #1 agent in Albany County. You know what? Who cares? It's a byproduct of being a good agent and being good marketing. It's not what you lead with, right? It doesn't matter. If you're telling me you're #1, if you're not saying you can't sell my house faster for more money and less time or less hassle, then then being #1 doesn't tell me that. Being #1 tells me you sell lots of houses, but it doesn't tell me that you have amazing wow service, that you sell houses more money or for less time. So leading with that is irrelevant, quite honestly, and people, it's just white noise. So creating direct mail pieces with really good differentiators, and not mean or nasty. It's the 3 reasons why you want to use Andrew McCauley to sell your next house, right? Andrew sells houses for 98.7% of asking price. The average agent sells for 95%. Andrew sells at 22 days in the market. Average agent in the market sells for 42 days in the market, right? So articulating that stuff is really great. Then you flip it over, and I'll show you some examples. Then you flip it over, and the call to action is, for more details in the inner workings of our special offer and how we sell houses faster for more money, go to Andrew, sorry, I don't know what city you're in, but go to Scottsdale Home Seller Kit and request your home seller kit today. Included in that kit is boom, 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 right? So creating an urgent or a message that tells them, do something is the biggest mistake I see on most people's direct marketing. They just say, oh, use Jay because call me. And the only option they give that client is their cell phone number. And I'm telling you guys, I was in the car business for 20 years. I would close the dealership on sometimes just so I could drive by a massive amount of people who were on the lot because they didn't want a salesman. They just wanted to go look. So that's the idea. You have to be able to remove yourself, provide value, and give them a low threshold way to get a hold of you. An 800 number works extremely well. I know it's so 1990, trust me, I know. Languages. And having your cell phone number, I think, is important. But if you have your cell phone number only option, you'll repel way more people than you can collect by doing that. So, and I'll show you some examples. Any thoughts on that? Anybody doing a really good job of direct mail right now? Anybody doing direct mail right now?
Yeah.
Jay, if you can see that big monstrous thing behind me.
Oh, hold on. Wait, let me jump to your screen. Hold on.
Who's this?
That's Patrick.
Oh, look at that printer. That's like a custom printer there, baby.
Oh, no. That is my printer. This is my folder inserter.
Oh, right on. So are you doing letters?
I can put up to 4 different pieces of paper or 8 sides, actually fold it, insert it, and seal it up to about $2,000 an hour.
Wow.
Well, for those of you who don't want to spend that kind of money on that, I'm sure you can have another company do that. But that's amazing, Patrick. You always do a good job on that.
But it's interesting. A lot of the old school's coming back. As one thing you kept saying, Jay, is, I'll delete 50 emails before when I first wake up, and a lot of that's not going through. And one of the things that I also noticed is I'm getting more return calls on the first or on the 5th, 6th, or 7th letter.
Yeah.
So consistency is one thing I've definitely had to stick with, and it's hard to say I'm not getting anything, but literally when they start calling and all of a sudden they say, well, I got this today. I'm like, well, I've been sending you things for 6 weeks or 3 months, and it still comes down. And I have actually tracked it. It usually comes to us after the 5th letter. And I've had several even say, well, you're the ones consistently sending me stuff.
It's funny, you know this too, Patrick, too. But when I was selling houses, we would, all the brokerages I would go to before I got into Proctor, they were like, "Oh, you got to cold call and door knock." And again, that's just not my deal. But not that it doesn't work. But they would say, "Oh, well, how many people?" I was on a panel or something, and they were going down this panel, and each one of the agents were saying, "Yeah, I call 2,000 people a day or whatever the number was, and I get this many listings or whatever." And so they get to me, and they're like, "Okay, so how many people do you call?" I go, "Cold call? I've never cold called in my life." They're like, "What? How many listings you get?" I go 5 or 6 a month. Like, you get 5 or 6 a month? Like, yeah, why would I want to call client? Like, why would I want to call these leads? Why wouldn't it be easier if they just called you? And they're all like, who's this Yahoo, right? Like, of course it's easier. I'm like, yeah, just give them a reason to call you. Give them something that they're going to call you for. And sending out letters, honestly, for me, and maybe it was a little bit more passive, but it worked better because I didn't want to get on the phone at 6 a.m. and be a phone ninja, because I'm not good at that. That's just not my forte. I was really good at copying really good direct mail marketing pieces to be able to get people to reach out to me. But like Patrick said, people would kind of say, you kind of it was the attrition game, right? So you outsent me stuff that other agents didn't send. And I was tired of getting calls. I'm like, well, that's one of the ways I can differentiate myself. So great comment on that. So anyway, yeah, so statistically, sellers only interview 3 agents, right? That was the national. I think it might be more or less in certain areas. But most agents will stop what works because they don't know what works. They will send out postcards, or they'll send out marketing pieces, and they'll try it 3 or 4 times and they stop and they just think, it's just not working. No, small tweaks lead to giant peaks. Don't stop doing the marketing, change your message. If your message isn't, this is what's in it for you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, because of using me, then your message isn't strong enough. And then if the message is strong, but there's nothing to get me to identify what to do next, then that's the other issue, right? Where do I go? How do I reach out? How do I get the information without having to talk to Jay? I don't want to talk to Jay. I just want to get the information. 800 number, landing pages, other ways that you guys can get people to respond. It's still good behavior. So anyway, and as we know, less agents are doing it, so less competition. In our market, still people are still doing it because they do know it's effective, but it is a really, really important issue. And I get them all the time. And I'm not saying that over time, people won't do business with you because of who you are, because they will. But if you're not kind of the celebrity in the marketplace already, just really have to be updated, and they have to be really compelling. So good call to action, killer USP or killer call to action, great, awesome USP is really important. So, and so obviously what we do with this, right? So we have the direct marketing piece that goes out. In fact, let me share that real quick with you. I'm going to share that, and then I'll share screen. Pardon me while I get off of this. I'll get off of that. All right, I have some good pieces here. So here's one that we you guys can see that. Here is a direct marketing postcard that we're doing. One of our agents. I don't know if Daryl's on this webinar or not, but if he is, awesome. So asking price report. You guys have all seen like, hey, find out what your home is worth. Well, as a real estate agent, find out what your home is worth doesn't tell me that your home, you just want to know what your home is worth, right? You just want to know what your investment's worth. Hey, what's my watch worth? Why, you want to sell it? No, I just want to know what it's worth, right? So same thing. So instead of that, we're doing asking price report. Instantly see what your Cave Creek, Carefree, that's a little Arizona, home's asking price would be. If you were to put up in today's up for sale in today's market, you can see it at mycavecreekasking.price.com. Great message, great call to action, and what it does is it funnels more down the road of wanting home, because who would want what they're asking is more willing or want to sell their home for the most part. So we're just trying to whittle out the looky-loos out there. But that was a very, very good card, and I'll show you the back of that card.
That's what I was going to ask, Jay, if you have the back of the card. And sorry, I just didn't want to rub it in that I was from California and hanging out at the beach during all this Zoom meeting. So
I love that background, though. Looks good. You know, I put one on. Oh, look, I'm in New York. Oh, look, I'm in Australia. Love it. This is the back of the card, right? So the back of the card, number one, is we kind of changed it a little bit because we had too much. So this was the first go. He did get some response. The off the front needs to be a little bit more congruent. But anyway, so this is the back of the card that is really, really good. This is the home seller kit. The home seller kit, if you guys have not seen our home seller kit, go to YouTube and just type in pre-sale package, and you'll see my pre-sale package that we put out there. Hardbound, video card, the whole set, right? But it's really, really low threshold, no obligation, talk to no one, number, talk to one. Like I'm 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You don't have to talk to anyone. Just call our 24-hour voicemail and system property address. Even though Daryl's awesome-looking face is right on here, and he's got his cell number on here, and he's got his other website, that's the second option. First option, second option really is here. We definitely get more people to respond here than we do here. The people who respond here are much more likely, hey, I saw your information, would like to have you come over and take a look at my house, right? Don't opportunity. lose the opportunity for somebody who's maybe 4 months out. And that's why this is really effective.
Yeah, the beauty of that ad, Jay, is you took the less branded aspect of marketing on the left-hand side to say,
Yep.
no obligation, you don't want to talk to anybody, you don't want to be bothered. This is your side of the postcard. If you're really serious about talking to this guy, Daryl, this is how you get a hold of him, and that's more of the, kind of.
Yeah. The actual update to this card is this picture is way smaller because that's still a little too intrusive. It's still a little too, okay, even though I'm talking to no one, it looks like if I call this number, I'm going to talk to Daryl. So I think we identified that we're just going to put a little picture up here, and that was the second go around. Is there's a lot of real estate that we can use, and we can use other offers because we're using the Every Door Direct. But great message, great call to action, real threshold. You consistently do that over time, and then what happens is we're doing this postcard, right? We're creating a Facebook ad that's only going out to that neighborhood that he's sending it to. The Facebook ad is the exact same mimic of what this is on the front, right? The asking price report. So the Facebook ad now mimics the postcard. The video email and the voice broadcasts mimic each other. And those could be anything on just listed, just sold, market update, community update, open house, right? And those emails go out to that little neighborhood. I think he's sending it to like 1,500 homes. And so we're being more strategic and compounding that marketing in multiple mediums, because the postcard's awesome, but I'm thinking, God, if I get response on a postcard, I wonder how much more response I could get if they see me in other mediums. And that was the whole premise around that. Yeah. And that's why I do like Facebook for that brand building, because it's just that, it's like when you guys go buy a car, that reticular memory, you don't notice the car until that's the one you want to buy, and all of a sudden you see that car on the road every day. You're like, oh my God, there's that car again. That's kind of what we're trying to do. We know that the majority of people won't have that memory thought until they're ready to think about selling their home, and all of a sudden they go, wait a minute, that Daryl guy, I see him everywhere, right? And it just kicks in. So,
Jay, you have any Discovery Pub examples on there about with the 12-page newspaper? I don't know if a lot of people know about that. It's a nice little piece.
Yeah, if you guys have not seen this, let me click on this. We do a 12-page, Discovery Publications does this 12-page newspaper. It is amazing. In fact, I just got a whole stack of them in my office because they printed some samples, and so I have those. But, oh, you know what? I have it right here. Hold on, guys. Here's the updated one. Sorry, I'm being a little jumpy here.
Yeah, we're working on a campaign with this in our office as we speak. So it's just been a little distracting with the current environment.
Yeah, don't totally get it.
To say the least.
Discover. All right, give me a sec here. Let me just pull this up. All right, sorry, I don't know why this is going up. Let's see if this is it here. Yep, that's it. Okay, so this is a 12-page newspaper. You guys have all with me. I would have shared it with you, but it's just a normal newspaper, right? It's a kind of a slightly miniature version of a typical newspaper, not like the New York Times or Washington Post, but a smaller version of that. It's 12 full pages, but it's your branded newspaper. And so they create these, and so I'll walk through this real quick with you. But you can create your own your own articles if you don't want to. They'll do it for you. But you have ads within the newspaper, right? Buyer search and match. See if one of our 8,000 buyers matches your home at your price, and it's one of those ads. And then so second page, there's an article.
The beauty of this thing is just offer after offer after offer. There's so many opportunities for a client to raise their hand, from home inspection traps to top 10 best buys, and then and the content's good too as well. And the great part is they tailor the content specifically to your area,
Right.
so you really don't have to do a whole lot.
Right.
So, Jay's
Yeah,
US.
and yeah, what's even better about that is that you guys can do you guys can get all your vendors to run ads in here, so you literally don't have to pay anything for it. It's almost free. So let me show you guys this. There's another one. Here's another ad that we did. And this was just a sample newspaper that they did. And then on the back, you can put your listings on here. You can have your call to actions and all your stuff up here, and then maybe some reviews, however you guys want to do it. But they'll do something for you. It's a really cool marketing piece. All right, let me go back to the slide. I know we're almost done. We're 20 minutes after the hour, so I want to be respectful of you guys.
How do you send that out, Jay? EDM or specifically in direct mail?
The Discover Pubs does it. They do it through route carriers. So EDDM. So if you guys have if you go to USPS or EDDM.USPS.com and then type in your zip code, you can pull up the different routes. So they do use it through EDDM.
There's really not much for you to do. That's the beauty of it. They take care of everything.
All right, let's get into that. So bonus, last one. All right, guys, thanks for being on here. I know we have a whole people on this webinar, so thanks for sticking with me here. But okay, so bonus number working on your business, right? So today's market, in my opinion, working on your lead systems, on your conversion systems, on your sales presentation, follow-up tracking, and really focusing on your financial fitness, because I know a lot of agents, unfortunately, are on a position where they don't have financial fitness in their business. This downturn they live to paycheck. We were on that, at one point too, and so it's not fun. It's not a great time. So really working on your finances to set yourself apart. Meaning, if you're looking at your P&L and if you're making $100,000 a year and you're not putting $25,000 of that towards marketing, then you're not feeding the funnel. If you don't feed the funnel, you dry up, and then you end up on this income roller coaster. I got 2 houses closing. I got nothing closing for the next 3 months, right? So then you have to grunt. You have to find that business and grind, and that is not fun. So these are the things that, for me, if it were me today, I would work on every one of these. Get really focused on every one of them. Any thoughts on that?
Absolutely. This is the time, if you've been saying, I wish I had time to do XYZ for my business, now's the time for that. Work on, get your projects underway, advance your business, the systems that you have, and come out the other side the stronger for it.
Absolutely. So, and I put these here specifically because if you look at these 5 systems that you guys can create, if you have really dialed in these 5, making $1 million in your income is not hard. It's really not hard. It's just all system based. That's all it is. If you have enough leads coming in, you have a great conversion system to convert them to an appointment. You have an amazing sales presentation system to convert them to use you. And then when you close them, you have a great follow-up for past clients and referrals. And then you're tracking all of your numbers. Look at your P&L, look at your numbers, look at what your average cost per sale is, your commission percentage, all that stuff. You need to track all of your numbers. And I know it's overwhelming when you think about it up front, but when you have those systems in place, man, you know how to spend money, where to spend money, where your holes are. Michelle and I do this all the time. We look at our numbers all the time, and it's really important.
If for whatever my 2 cents are worth, I think number 3 on that list is probably the most important. And I think that's where you're, if you have a lot of leads coming in, that's great. If you're hanging on those 1 or 2 a month that you're getting, or those referrals that you're getting, and you're just going in and winging it, you're just doing yourself a disservice. It's just so easy to use a sales aid or a presentation, and it doesn't have to be, look, the better the presentation, quality of presentation, the better. But even if you go in with something other than the CMA, if you're just going with a CMA and the listing agreement, like you're no different than the other 3 agents that probably came through the door before you. But if you got just a little something to help you, Jay's going to pull this up now, just to help you, really demonstrate your value. It's going to make asking for the commission a hell of a lot easier. And if you're working with buyers, you might be able to grab an extra half a point on top of the, whatever the suggested co-broke is in your area. So just having the ability to get to the end of the presentation and close a little bit easier and smoother is just going to speak and grow your business by volumes. Just my personal opinion. I don't know how you feel about that, Brett.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and that's the thing about going back to VIP, and a lot of folks have asked for it, so we'll circulate this copy. Just make sure that you tailor it for your own market. If it's you know, because this is set for Arizona specifically. But when you demonstrate that value and you determine what it is that you're worth, then you can communicate that. And it is, maybe all of it is carried forward by the co-broke, but even if it's not, then you have a way to plan your income, and you know how to structure your business accordingly from that. And any deficiencies really at closing costs, like their lender fees, like title and escrow, or their closing attorney fees. So, you know, the communication about that when you delivered or communicated the value is not that difficult of a conversation once you're accustomed to it.
Yeah, I'm just showing you a slide that or a presentation that we created a while ago. And so not all agents use every slide. I mean, you could use 2, 3, 4 slides. You could use all of them, depending on that person that you're talking to. If they're a high C personality, then you're probably going to have to go through every single slide. But for the most part, you just want to focus on things that you guys are really strong on and what you bring to the table. And I think it makes more sense that, you know, you get really used to doing this and picking out those slides. You could talk for 20 minutes on one slide, right? We've done that here today. So you don't have to be really specific on each slide. And if you've never done a PowerPoint or a presentation like this, just get used to it. Just do it and just have a summary of what you're going to talk about on each slide, right? So that's really important.
Good way to practice video.
Yep, exactly.
Just saying.
Yep. So, and we really focus on marketing, negotiating strategy, and our systems, because that's what sellers, in my opinion, want to know that you have. And if you don't have that, or your buyers and waiting list, which I think is also amazing. If you can bring that with you, that'd be great. But having those, I think, is really important. But having a presentation, I'm telling you, when I first did it, I felt so awkward, but they didn't know the difference, you know. So anyway, agreed. Good point, guys.
One last thing on the VIP, just to circle it back around, is that now is the time to do it, because you have more. It's easier to get it done. It's easier to provide that value than perhaps in the past, and people are open to it. So you talk about what you will do, you demonstrate that you can, and you'll start to get people who want you to do that. So it's easier now than it has been in the past to actually get that done.
Yep, agreed. All right, one last thing before we roll. Some of you guys were asking about YouTube and using YouTube, and a program that I use to help get your videos seen better, and actually in fact, if you just did that on YouTube on Presale Package, you notice that I was the number one or two spots on YouTube on that. And that's because I use this program, and I'll share my other screen with you real quick. If you guys are not using YouTube, I think you're missing out. It's a free MLS system, which means in our MLS, probably most MLSs, you can't brand yourself, right? You can't promote yourself. So this system allows you to do that. YouTube, you can brand the heck out of yourself. So this is one of the videos that John was doing. Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Yeah, so John was doing this one here. This is called his Monday morning wake-up call. But what this does is it tells us, it's a program called vidIQ. And what it does is it just helps you tag, keyword your YouTubes better, your YouTube channel. In fact, let me just go here and do this. I'll show you an example. Presale. Let's do pre-listing package. Okay, so I'm number one. Now I did this a year ago, right? So I beat out this guy who's got 38,000 subscribers. I got 255, right? He had 9,000 views. I had 2.8 thousand. I beat out the likes of Tom Ferry, right? So I'm number one over. And the reason is, look at the ER. It's called engagement rating. The engagement rating says how many people liked, commented, shared, and what was the percentage of engagement versus the number of people who viewed it. That's how YouTube works. They only promote what's most relevant based on an engagement rating. It's like Google. Google's only going to show you the top sites that are most relevant based on those keywords. Well, what I did is I went into vidIQ and I said, okay, well, what keywords and tags should I use for this? Pre-listing package, pre-sale package, all these things. And it tells me, actually what I did, clicked on this guy, and I'm like, well, I want to beat him. How do I beat him? I clicked on him, and it told me let me click on him.
Need a professional logo
I'll
for your
pause
brand.
that. What it told me all the tags he's using. So Pre-sale package, I'm number 1, he's number 3. Pre-listing packet, he's number 1, I think I'm 4 or 5. If I want to be better at pre-listing packet, if somebody types that in, I got to put that tag or keyword and keep promoting that within my video. So it shows you what your competitors are doing when it comes to keywords, tags, and then their channel tags. Like he's got Lamborghini for, and he's a real estate agent. I mean, knock yourself out. I think that's awesome, but we're kind of weird. It just tells you, like, the title is good. His tags are really good. Description's really good. Like, he's done a really good job of optimizing it, and he may use something like this. But at least I know what the tags are that he's using. And if you click on mine, I'll pause that when it comes through. You can see that it says, I don't have any cards. You know, the cards, the little things that pop up during your video. I don't have any of those installed. But I do have I have a really good engagement rating. I have a great engagement rating, which means 105 YouTube likes, 3 dislikes. There's always going to be trolls out there. Don't worry about that. And then 46 comment. So the percentage much higher based on the number of people who've looked at it. That's how YouTube scores your channel as being relevant. And then these are the tags. So I'm number 2 on pre-sale package. So he's number 1. But that's okay. If I want to be number 1, I could be number 1. But that's all right. So it's kind of neat. And then here's my channel or suggested tags. So if it says, hey, there's a really high rating for real estate coaching, you should add that. You could add that tag. And I could hijack somebody else's tags if I want. Not that I would. I could hijack Tom Ferry's tag. Anyway, it's kind of a cool program. So it's called vidIQ. I don't think it's like 30 or 40 bucks a month, I think is what it is. But it really helps optimize videos within YouTube, because if you literally go to your, I'm just going to do this, Albany, am I spelling that right?
Yeah.
Real estate. I'm just going to type in Albany real estate. Okay, so Clancy Real Estate in Albany is the number 1 spot. 313 subscribers, 56,000 views. Look at this, 4 years ago. That video is still number 1. And then number 2 is Nina Sure Homes, right? That's 1 year ago. So I'm just saying, people are more and more going to the likes of Google and YouTube to Google or to search homes for sale. Now, if I type in Albany homes for sale, YouTube will tell me if that's relevant. Not really. Albany, that's relevant. So that's one thing. Albany, New York homes for sale. So again, there she is, right? So some other ones pop up. But you can see the engagement rating, and that's why a year ago, 3 years ago, 7 years ago, still on the first page. Anyway, my point there is if you guys really want to build your business on video, yeah, use YouTube. YouTube is an amazing place.
So would you say or recommend, Jay, using this for if we want to go for niches like luxury, equestrian, waterfront, things like that?
Yep. Yeah, there's a thing on Google called, I think it's called Google Trends. You can go to this, because a lot of people are like, I don't know what tags and keywords. If you do Google Trends, it's a website that pulls up, and then you can see what's trending on Google as well as what's trending on YouTube. So I'm going to do Scottsdale real estate. So that's pretty evergreen, right? That's really evergreen, which means there's not a lot of big, huge spikes. It's searched really consistently, which is a very competitive keyword. But now I can go YouTube. It's less evergreen. People aren't quite searching it as much, right? So it's kind of neat. You can see that. So if I don't want to compete on Google with Scottsdale Real Estate, I could probably compete better on YouTube on Scottsdale Real Estate. So that's good example of what you could search for, what you could put in. But yes, Patrick, you luxury real estate, niche-based, or just basic, Albany real estate, Scottsdale real estate, whatever you guys want to put in, just making sure that your tags and keywords are always the same and always consistent, because you want to build that relevancy and that engagement rating. So one of the key things on YouTube, when somebody make sure you reply. That is a huge piece to that. So if you go back to mine, Oop, that's what I wanted. The listing appointment. And this goes out. And if you haven't seen this, by the way, guys, this is the pre-sale package. You guys can watch if you want. So I'm locking up here. Hold on. Yeah, locked. All right, I can't scroll. Hold on. Yeah, my computer is locking up. Anyway, you'll notice down below that I've replied to almost every one of those comments. And so that adds another engagement percentage. It's like Yelp, right? When people give you a review and you thank them, it helps your organic placement. So yeah, good stuff. All right, 11:30. We were an hour and a half. Any thoughts, questions, anything come up on the chat that we need to answer, guys?
Brett?
I'm muted. The only thing that we haven't covered, Patrick asked you to cover the 3 things for sellers again, the 3 key distinctives.
You mean the compound marketing piece?
Well, the thing that we communicate, our negotiating strategy.
Oh, yeah. So buyers in waiting, right? So we have over 18. Here, I'll show you. What do we have? 18,000. You don't have to have 18,000. 18,085. We do is we 86. We scrub this list and say, okay, price, location, and type of home. If I have 100 that fit that client's home, then I'm going to bring that list with me and say, hey, right? So I've got 100 people that match your home. Da da da. So we use the buyer and waiting list. Marketing, we show them our marketing using our website and how we capture property or prospects, and how we don't use magazines and newspapers to get buyer prospects because it just doesn't happen. Where all the other agents will try to show them all this fancy, magazines that I'm going to put your home in all these magazines. It's just it's a placate. Sorry, my video is now playing. Right. I'm going to turn that off. Got stuck there. So anyway, so that's one, marketing, and then our negotiating strategy. So we created a really cool strategy that we talk with the seller on about the step-by-step process. When we get an offer, this is the step that we do. What we do before we get an offer, how the seller and I will agree on the list price, agree on a bottom line price, and it's a pretty cool step-by-step. And I can put that in kind of a checklist if you want. The mere fact that you're actually explaining that to a seller and walking through a strategy will far exceed what other agents will do. Most agents don't. They say, yeah, I'm a certified negotiating expert. Okay, well, what's your strategy? They don't have a walk-through strategy, and that's really an important thing. So that's what sellers want, right? They want somebody who they know can negotiate their deal. So
right, and that's where the presentation keeps you on point with all that information, because
absolutely,
you get in there and you're face to face. You're sweating a little bit. You're with the person, and you walk out and you're like, man, I wish I forgot to tell them this, or I forgot to mention that. And if you have something that you can go, whether it's paper, a paper presentation, or you do it on your iPad, or you do it on your laptop, it just keeps you on track to have an easier close.
Agreed. Yep, agreed. Awesome, guys. Well, hey, thanks for all of you guys who joined. I think it's great. I hope we added some value for you, and I hope you guys took some notes. Any questions on any of this stuff? I know, Brett, you're keeping very good log because that's what you do. You're much more detailed.
Yeah. So we're going to recirculate to everybody who was here, copy of the presentation, any of the resources. If you send me a message privately, I wrote it down. Otherwise, we have it logged in your note that you put into the chat publicly. So that's good. So we will get that all out to everybody.
Cool. Yeah, some of you guys wanted the pre-sale, their seller strategy, the negotiating. I'll definitely outline that. That's really a cool. And again, if you can just take some notes from it, a nugget here and there, it worked for me. I think we say that all the time, right? We're not the smartest kid in the school. We just know how to copy, but or we haven't had an original thought in 10 years because we just use other people's and ideas and kind of manifest them into our own. So that's the benefit of doing these events. So.
Hey, Jay, thanks a lot for that. But what about the 2 books before you get going?
Oh, yeah, the 2 books, Jay.
Oh, the 2 books? You mean the...
You mentioned that there are going to be 2 books.
Oh, yeah, the 2 books. I think I'm trying to think of my book in my pre-sale package. Okay, so these are some I recently read. They're really, really good. You guys in New York would probably know who this guy is, Mr. Tom Golisano. Amazing book called Built Not Born. He started a company called Paychex. My wife worked for them for 15 years and
Really?
knows Tom pretty well. But it's an amazing book. It's a no BS type book, man. This guy is hardcore, and he's really, really sharp and smart. How he built a multi-billion-dollar company on $1,000 on a credit card back in 1973. So anyway, really, really good book. Easy read. And then my ultimate favorite is Dan Kennedy, which I adore. I think he's amazing. It's called Magnetic Marketing. This will help you identify and help you really capture the essence of unique selling propositions, call to actions, getting people to attract to you versus you pushing your stuff out to them and then being the same as everybody else. But again, a very simple, easy read. I think I read this in a couple hours, but these two books really kept my attention, and it's hard because I'll read a chapter or two and put it down, read something else. And then all of a sudden I have like 10 books that I haven't finished. These I finished pretty fast. So great book. So, all right. Thanks guys. Appreciate you guys coming on the webinar, and have a wonderful weekend. Guys, stay safe. Anything that comes up, let us know. You guys have our contact information. And Brett, did you put that in there in the chat, that if anybody needs to get a hold of us for anything, that they can do that?
No, I did not. So you want your cell distributed?
Just put my email.
Okay.
And John's as well.
Yep.
Work.
Whatever you
John has
guys
access
need on
to
the New
all-
York end, just let me know.
Yeah, John has access to all the same stuff.
I have all this stuff.
Yep. So,
Absolutely.
and it's all specific to New York stuff. So we're a little wild out here in the West. We're gun
So
toting.
the chat won't stay for everybody once they're done. So John, if you'll just go ahead and give your email address right now, and then I'll distribute it too.
Awesome. Well, happy birthday, Mr. John Bevilacqua Sr.
All right. Thanks,
All right, guys. Thanks so much. And we'll definitely repurpose this as recorded. So as soon as we hang up, it'll start the upload, and then I'll definitely send it out to everybody. So enjoy your weekend and have a safe week. And hopefully we'll see an end to this hopefully very soon. So.
You guys.
Okay, guys. Thanks so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Thanks, Brett. Thanks, John.
Yep.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. See you guys.